What is stopping optical genome mapping being utilized here in the UK as part of routine clinical care? Investor, welcome back to the channel. I found a couple of documents while I was reading through. I was trying to figure out what is the reason why the uptake and the adoption of the Sapphire system or the Stratys has been really slow and why we haven't seen revenue boosts here in the UK. So I came across this article by PHG Foundation. So we're going to go through this today and summarize who they are, what they found out, and what they believe is going to happen in the future. What barriers does Bionano need to overcome in order to get adoption here in the UK. We will also talk about some test pilot programs that are currently being run and ones previously that didn't work out. Do you find this quite useful and valuable? If you do, please give me a thumbs up, draw me some comments down below, and hit the subscribe button. Please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. Now let's get into the video. First of all, let's talk about this PHG Foundation. Who are they? The PHG Foundation is a non-profit think tank and a linked exempt charity of the University of Cambridge. Document here that is analysing optical genome mapping, the assessment of it, what it currently is, what it does, and what are the considerations, what are the problems to having, this clinical adoption here in the UK. In 2023, in November, it was published by Dr. Hayley Wilson from the University of Cambridge. Take a read through it. It talks about how it works, optical genome mapping, the comparison to the standard of care tests, which report 90 to 100% agreement between standard of care and optical genome mapping techniques. It shows considerations, so appropriate turnaround time, not requiring niche training, data that is easy to handle and analyze, and determining the full structural variation profile of a disease is costly. Bionano is aiming to cut that down. They speak of Bionano, however, providing reagents, machine, and analysis software as a rental package. We obviously know there's different ways that people can access the Sapphire system or the Stratys, and the rental kind of business model is them kind of renting out the machine and also making money from the reagents. So the flow cells. They explain what optical genome mapping is currently useful for, so what patient populations. So they speak about cancer, blood cancers specifically, and rare disease. What got me curious was clinical practice. Why isn't it already adopted? They spoke about some of the pilot programs that are currently happening or have happened in the UK. They spoke in this article about the Leuven Center for Human Genetics in Belgium, who became one of the first centers in the world to use optical genome mapping routinely in acute lymphoblastic leukemia and acute myeloid leukemia diagnostic workups. Now, they spoke about this body called GenQA. So in 2023, GenQA provides external genomics quality assessments for the NHS. They're launching a pilot assessment for optical genome mapping in haematological malignancies, blood cancers, and rare diseases. So I took a look at GenQA. GenQA is the genomic quality assessment, and it's an external quality assessment proficiency testing provider that works directly with the NHS. Advances in our understanding of genomic diseases and medicine has led to a revolution in testing technologies, and GenQA is committed to delivering exceptional external quality assessment in this rapidly evolving field. On the website, you'll see that there is a directory for these external quality assessments. So they've got all the lineups for the 1st of April 2024 all the way until the 31st of March 2025. So if you click on that link and pop it open, page of this document, you will find optical genome mapping here, assess the accuracy of OGM bioinformatic algorithms and pipelines for structural and copy number aberrations in both hematological neoplasms and rare diseases. Hematological neoplasms are neoplasms located in the blood and blood-forming tissue, the bone marrow and lymphatic tissue. The most common forms are the various types of leukemia and lymphoma. Third page, if you go to the bottom of that third page, you'll see optical genome mapping, hematological neoplasms and rare diseases, and above it, it says EQA code 2024 OGM. The sample is data files. The assessment is analysis and summary of test results. And distribution month has still yet to be confirmed. So the status of it is a pilot. Back to the PHG Foundation document, they said that GenQA, who provide external genomics quality assessments for NHS, they're launching this pilot assessment for optical genome mapping to see if they can implement it into the NHS. But there are still some barriers to it being implemented. In previous pilot studies in the UK, and various institutions have identified the opportunities and challenges to be resolved before optical genome mapping can be used in routine clinical practice. So in 2021, there was 2 UK hospitals that trialed optical genome mapping in their diagnostic laboratories. I think I spoke to some of the scientists before. I dropped them an email. One of them was basically talking about throughput, and she was at Birmingham. I think it was the Birmingham Women and Children's Hospital. So here it says that these two UK hospitals, neither of them decided to incorporate into their workflows. The reason being was low throughput was a barrier in delivering clinically useful turnaround times and services. So what Bionano Genomics is currently trying to do is they're bringing in the Stratys, which has a higher throughput. I'm not sure how high the throughput needs to be. Here it states that in some instances, to compete with the standard of care tests that they have here in the NHS in the UK, optical mapping's throughput needed to increase by 2 orders of magnitude. So I think 2 times. I'm not sure how fast the Stratys is. If we try and take a look and find that out. One of these articles here, Bionano announces the Stratys system for OGM and VIA. The throughput of Stratys instrument is up to 4 times greater than that of the Bionano Sapphire system. So Bionano Genomics, they done partnerships and they also done some acquisitions. That's how they burnt through their cash runway, because I think they needed to resolve some of these customer queries. The customers were saying the throughput's not high enough, and now one of the other issues they faced was sample preparation was complex, with the result that test quality was strongly dependent on ultra high molecular weight DNA quality. The studies that happened with 2 genetics laboratory hubs in England carried out pilot projects using optical genome mapping. They've done it with small cohorts, mainly with cancer patients, cancer oncology, as you can see here, blood cancers. They had some positive outcomes and they used optical genome mapping on a case-by-case basis, and it had benefit in these genetics laboratory hubs because there was a lack of skilled workers. There was a shortage of them in standard of care testing, although still throughput was a limiting factor. So like they said, in order for Bionano to resolve these kinds of customer queries and the issues that they're facing with optical genome mapping, Bionano partnered with the robotics company Hamilton to develop the long-string Vantage, the world's first automated ultra-high molecular weight DNA isolation system. So previously acquired Purigen Biosystems for a lot of money because they wanted to realize the potential of expanding the adoption of optical genome mapping to improve that ultra high molecular weight DNA sample gathering. The last piece of this article speaks about optical genome mapping and how it has great promise and how it's innovative and an advanced tool to complement existing next generation sequencing analysis. However, it needs a lot more development and the throughput is not sufficient enough for optical genome mapping to be used as a viable alternative to established techniques, and there are no accepted standards or guidelines for data analysis, meaning reproducibility is questionable. It needs targeted investment in solving the logistical barriers, needs higher throughput, but validation in much larger cohort studies are required to support the use of optical genome mapping in routine clinical services. So what I think, if you're an investor in Bionano Genomics, you might find this really useful if you have a read of this and understand what are the barriers. So what is stopping optical genome mapping being adopted, because it's been here in the UK for quite a while. A lot of the Sapphire systems were used for research purposes, but now they're trying to push it into routine clinical, services. The pilot programs they've had, some of them have been pretty useful on smaller cohorts, but the throughput is not, the machine's not fast enough. The throughput's not good enough still in order to implement it into the NHS. Being said, with the introduction of the new Sapphire system, the Stratys. So this was the old Sapphire system, as you can see here, Bionano Sapphire with the little cartridges, the little bullets, the flow cells. That just looks more like a PlayStation. What do you guys think? But yeah, this is going to be interesting because Bionano's running out of money and they're using, they're now taking on debt. They use their at the market and they've used a reverse split in order to, they've diluted us as a kind of side product to raising money to survive. So a lot of the old school optical genome mapping, the people who found this back in the day, Bionano, and rode it from 50 cents all the way up to $15, and now it's reverse split. A lot of people who have found it after that, they've bought into the company, and a lot of people are down 90%, 92, 95, 96% because of that reverse split and all of the at the market shares sold, and they've heavily diluted the company. Are they going to have enough money, and is this machine going to be fast enough and satisfy the customers like the NHS, the clients like the NHS? Is it going to be good enough for them to implement this into the National Health Service in the UK? When that happens, or if that happens, are we going to see a return as investors? Will Bionano be able to reduce their costs? Will they be able to start gaining traction with getting greater revenues? So this is just over in the UK, but over in America and Canada, I know there's been a lot of traction in the last 6 months, 1 year, and they're waiting on this CPT insurance code so it can be used and reimbursed universally in the US. providers. Is Bionano Genomics going to survive to realize its full potential? And can the current management take it to the next level and return money to the investors with a little bit of juicy cherry on top? If you found this video useful and valuable, please remember it's not financial advice, entertainment only. For watching, I really appreciate you guys. Please hit the thumbs up if you can. It's completely free. And if you'd like to donate to help me make videos, I would really appreciate if you can send me any donations through PayPal. Link is in my description box below. I'm going to keep creating videos, and I really appreciate everybody that's ever sent me any money and it ever helped me with, donations to continue creating this entertaining content on YouTube. And I'll continue giving as much value as I can. Hit the thumbs up, it's completely free. Drop some subscribes if you haven't already, and some comments down below. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Mr. Investor Lot, over and out, baby.